Hi, my name is Gabrielle and I'm a Mars Exploration Rover team member. We talk a lot about curiosity these days, but we forget that it's been more than 9 years opportunity is driving on Mars. So let's talk about it a little bit more. In 2004, Spirit and Opportunity between rovers landed on Mars. Unfortunately, we lost Spirit in 2010. But Opportunity is still driving and it's doing actually pretty well. This mission, the Mars Exploration Rover mission, also known as MER, was actually a key mission to the Mars exploration program because it was the first time that we could establish from the surface that there was at some point liquid water on Mars. We knew from orbit that there was water ice at the poles and water vapor in the atmosphere, and we could see channels from orbit, but it was really the first time that we could find evidence of liquid water from the surface. How is that possible? Well, let's talk about the capability of rovers first. First of all, a rover is not a lander, so it can go from one point to another, and thus it can explore a wider area than a lander can. And then a rover can carry payloads. So the first payload, very useful, is just a simple camera that can take pictures of the environment. So with the pictures you can look at features, you can look at how the rocks look like, you can look at basically what kind of environment you had at some point in this location. You also have in the rover the arm, and the arm carries the experiments. So on Opportunity you only have 4 instruments that can give the mineralogy and the elemental composition of your target. It can take close-up images of the target, and that's how they could find evidence of liquid water. It's by taking pictures and analyzing the elemental composition and the mineralogy. And there are some evidence that some minerals just form under wet conditions, and there is no way you can form them if Mars was dry. For example, Opportunity found what we call the blueberries, and the blueberries are just hematite concretion that formed in acidic water. So a rover, by driving, by going at places that we want to explore, by giving the composition, the mineralogy, by giving us the evidence of how the rock formed, is kind of replacing the human exploration. If we send astronauts to Mars, we would do the same job that we do with the rover. So what exactly are the differences? Well, first of all, the rover is not very fast. Like, it goes only 35 meters per hour. And also, you cannot drive for the entire day. You need to drive only for a couple of hours or so. So it's very limited. And also, there's a communication problem. So when we send information to the rover executes the plan and does what the Earth tells it to do. So for instance, it does an experiment with the arm and then drive. Once it does that, it stores the information in its computer and then sends it to the satellites in orbit around Mars. And then, after all of this, the information on board the satellites is sent to Earth once per day. And the information sent on Earth is a limited amount of data. So we don't get all of it, we just get part of it. And that's why when we plan the rover day, first we do not know what happened the day before, we know only what happened 2 days before. So if we drive, we need to stop and wait for the drive data to come down. And then sometimes we don't even have the drive data coming down. We just have one image and we cannot do anything. So all of this kind of slow down the exploration of the planet because we cannot drive as much as we want and exactly where we want. It depends on the data we get, and it depends on the communication. And indeed, if you look at the Apollo astronaut on the moon, so far they had the record for the longest driving distance by a rover on a planetary surface. And it took us more than 9 years to break this record, and we finally broke it last week by driving more than 36 kilometers in 9.5 years. So the rover is very capable. It can give you a lot of information about the environment, about how rocks form, but it's very slow. And we need to be patient if we want to get to some target and get some analysis.